Hello everybody, and welcome to a talky long-form video from Gun Gamers. I'm Eric.
I'm Kyle.
And Kyle and I, as like the resident absolute game design nerds of Gun Gamers, have a lot of conversations about all the different things that can be done and all the different things we see done and things we want to do. And it really spurred a conversation I wanted to have, especially with Kyle, about how there really is no one game we can call Airsoft.
No, Airsoft is like a huge... Because really, there's Airsoft guns, and then an Airsoft game is really just how you use the mechanics of an Airsoft gun around whatever it is that you're trying to do. So, I mean, traditionally it was like, it started out way back as kind of just an alternative to paintball.
Yeah.
And that's what it was designed as for people who wanted real guns in Japan but couldn't get real guns in Japan but wanted to play like paintball. And then from there, it's really kind of been... It was slow to evolve into different forms, but now I feel like it's really starting to take off.
Well, I think there was that obsession because, you know, Airsoft started with the desire for realism.
Yeah.
I think it was natural that the way Airsoft started out with its evolution into different game designs was military simulation.
Yes.
I mean, for a long time, as long as I've been playing, that's been, like, the big games that everyone goes to are milsim games.
Yes, that is, the staple game, for sure.
Yeah, but now what we're seeing, especially over the last, I feel like, 5 to 10 years, and there were pockets of this before.
Yes.
But it's becoming more mainstream.
Yes.
We're seeing a lot of different variations of what you can do outside of milsim.
Yeah. Well, originally going way back, I would say probably a little over, about 15 years ago, the first deviation I kind of saw into that was starting to do zombie games with it.
Yep.
That was what I saw personally locally in the Western New York area. I don't know how it evolved, you know, in California, which is another huge scene. I'm not sure how they evolved it, but starting to see zombie games was kind of the first step of what they saw, and now it's really just blown up into all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, and even with the zombie games, there was Demon Seed, which was from Frank, one of the founders of Omega. That was a LARP, post-apocalyptic LARP game blended with a zombie game, with gun rules like a milsim game, and controlled ammo, and that... I remember that being the dragon I was chasing for a long time in terms of really something different.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, what we're starting to see finally is a more widely accepted concept that you can control different formats of what airsoft guns are, and by allowing them to do different things under different conditions as a rule set rather than just the pure functionality of the gun, it allows a lot more opportunity to do different kinds of things.
That's true. I mean, really, you look at the rule sets for a lot of major promoters, it's basically a Dungeons and Dragons player's book.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's where I think we are going to start seeing a lot more interesting stuff, and where I really want to play with a lot of stuff, you know, long term as we go forward promoting games. But I mean, we've got, you know, milsim to me has kind of peaked. You know, like milsim. I don't know how much more real milsim could get outside of Milsim West.
No, I don't think there's much more realistic way besides more innovations that come into the airsoft industry.
Yeah.
But from a game design standpoint,
that's where the untapped potential is.
Yeah. That's like Milsim West is the peak of milsim. But airsoft isn't just milsim. So there's like a whole spectrum that you can operate in, both in the milsim spectrum, but then also because like we operate in a different area of that milsim, but also just totally things different like Omega.
Yep. And that's what I think is going to be really cool to see, is more people doing stuff like Roleplay. And, you know, there's obviously the Omega Productions games, hell, even Milsim West is an Insurgency format.
Yep.
Then there's also, like, two new promoters, Grimnir. So Rudiment and Grimnir are both doing, like, their own variations. You know, one's a really sci-fi thing, then Rudiment had a Jurassic Park game.
Yeah.
And there's really different themes and aesthetics and styles that I think are almost going to require embracing really the cosplay side of the hobby.
Yes, absolutely.
But, you know, ironically, I think that actually blends naturally with the milsim roots of Airsoft, because
that's your function. Like, a lot of milsim players don't want to hear this, but you're functionally cosplay. It's just kind of what it is.
Yeah, you're cosplaying to go to a big LARP convention with all your nerd buddies and shoot cool guns at each other.
And it's a great time, but it is what it is.
Yeah, you know? there is no hate meant here. Like, I love that.
Yeah, no, it's great.
But that's the thing, is I do think there's going to need to be a little bit of an attitude adjustment, too, because there are a lot of people who still try to treat Airsoft as a monolithic sport.
Yes. And, well, truly, if you want to go down the road of monolithic sport as Airsoft, like, Speed QB and things like that are kind of the peak of that. And really, there's actually some great games types. I don't know if there's a specific name for it. Maybe somebody will know. In Japan, of what they have, they do 1v1 competitions with, like, they'll have 2 people in a room with, like, 4 refs and tracers and, like, a 30-round mag, and then they go for it and try and get each other. And it is truly one-on-one. There is no hit shrugging. There is no... That is competition. If you want competition, go that road. Do that, because that's cool in itself. But, that's not the only way to do it.
No, there's all those other different ways, like the 5-on-5 Speed QB, like I think there's a few more competitive leagues I'm forgetting about.
There's a lot of options out there, depending on how serious you want to get and how hardcore you want to be. So
so those are like almost the esports version of Airsoft.
Yeah.
And then that's really, I think, the aesthetic that needs to be gone for in terms of building Airsoft in that way is go for that gamer angle.
Yeah.
Make it where you're building almost an esports style aesthetic for that type of stuff.
I feel like they're kind of drifting that way already.
Yeah.
Because if you look at... Now, and it's not my personal flavor that I don't do Speed QB. I think it's cool, but it's not my jam.
Yeah.
But, like, if you look at, like, the guns for sale and the new products coming out on, like, EVIC and stuff like that, you're seeing a little more fantasy, a little more just, like, this looks really cool, and it doesn't work. As a real gun, it would never, ever work. But it's just the style they're going for. And that's cool, and I'm glad that they have those options out there for players who want to do that kind of stuff.
And that's the thing. If you're not going to games that have any pretensions to realism...
Yeah.
Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah. Just because it's not for me doesn't mean it's not awesome.
Yeah, no, I love my real gun replicas, but I still want to use those real gun replicas in, like, weird, fantastical scenarios like Omega. So
yeah, exactly.
It's just all about it's basically the skins that you want to put on your character.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because functionally, 90% of Airsoft guns, it all is the same in terms of what you're getting. A pistol can shoot just as far as a fancy bolt action if you do enough silly things to it. That's how Airsoft is. And that's what makes Airsoft great, because it allows you to do such weird and different scenarios and different ideas and concepts because of that.
Oh yeah, and we've played around with different scenarios over the years. We did a Division themed game.
That was a big hit.
Yeah, we had a Fallout themed game back in the day, and there's so many different versions of what you can do, even if you don't change the rules that much.
Yeah.
Just change the aesthetic and introduce some weird gameplay elements.
Yeah, absolutely. Just introducing a storyline can totally change it, because if players are familiar with it and they get into it, it just totally changes the experience.
And that's what it is it's all about the experience. I think Airsoft is poised in a unique way that video games can't compete with. Because I think there's an experiential element to live action gaming and live action game design that you get to a level with video games.
Yeah.
But it's different.
But you're not in there. You're not truly interacting, you're shit talking other people through, behind a screen. So it's
so much more fun when I shit talk Kyle to his face.
Exactly. So, yeah, and I think, live action gaming is like a good way to really kind of represent Airsoft, because it's a whole spectrum. And I think, honestly, although Airsoft, a lot of people, Airsoft is peaked, Airsoft is dead. Airsoft has been, I'd say, steady.
Oh, Airsoft is bigger than it's ever been, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it is bigger than it's ever been. And honestly, if it continues to trend the way that it looks like it's going to and starts trending more into the cosplay thing, I think it's just going to continue to grow.
And what I think is important to highlight, too, is I don't think this comes at the expense of the military simulation side.
No.
If anything, I think this feeds into that.
Absolutely, because it allows people who normally do that kind of stuff, they might say, hey, I want to try the Milsim. Or people who do, like, a Milsim West might say, hey, I want to go out and do this crazy roleplay thing. And that's great. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, I think having that variety of game styles, that variety of stuff that's available, and that variety of attitudes, as long as, competent game masters can build good rule sets and market it well, I think there's potential for some real big growth in that. Yeah, actually, in the cut here, Kyle made a really good comment that I think needs to be its own segment. I think one of the biggest things that's going to be important to remember as Airsoft grows and evolves and gets these new things going is don't hate on any form of Airsoft just because it's not what you like.
Yeah.
Now, know what's appropriate to bring to the game you signed up for, of course. Don't sign up for Milsim West and wear your weird post-apocalyptic LARP costume.
Yeah, don't do that. Bad time.
But at the same time, just because those games exist doesn't take away from what other games you might like.
Exactly.
So I think that's going to be a really good thing to see, as long as everyone can just be cool to each other, you know?
Yeah. Embrace the hobby.
Hell yeah. So I think that's pretty much all we wanted to say on this topic.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are so many more thoughts and angles that we did not even touch.
Oh no, absolutely. There's gonna be I suspect a lot of really cool evolution, and I don't even know what it is. I'm gonna be frank with you. I have no idea what that evolution is gonna look like, but there's gonna be cool things that are gonna happen soon. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, it's nice to feel optimistic about like the way that things are gonna go for Airsoft, because you know, sometimes it can feel touch and go with like how the hobby is, and I know we all fall into that playing long enough. But
yeah, if you play long enough, you fall into that, you know, like, I don't know, and then honestly, when that happens, the peak is you gotta try something new.
And the more new stuff there is, the more stuff to try.
Exactly.
So if you've got your own thoughts, be sure to leave those in the comments. I'm actually really looking forward to the comments.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
I think there's gonna be some really cool thoughts. And if you're a game designer or an admin or a game master, you own a field, take this as us encouraging you from one set of players and game designers to another. Try that weird shit you don't know if it'll work.
Yeah, try it out.
Because you don't know if it'll work until you try it.
Yes.
So hopefully you enjoyed this video from Gun Gamers.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Eric. And hopefully we'll see you in the next video, or maybe at one of our games from Gun Gamers Productions. Peace. Thank you for watching this video from Gun Gamers. We hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. Check the description below if you'd like to buy a t-shirt or a patch, and use the coupon code JUDY10 for 10% off of your next order at Amped Airsoft. Thank you again for watching, and praise Judy.